Alan from Alan and Jeanne Adventures, and today we're going to go over the Thermarest sleep system. Basically what we have here is we have two base camp sleeping pads, and we have a Vela double down quilt, and we have a down coupler to couple everything together. So I'm going to set this up. I'll be right back in a minute and we'll look at it then. Okay, we're back. We have it mostly set up now, and here's our Vela double down quilt. It's a two-person quilt. It has a 650 fill in it of hydrophobic down, and below that we have our coupler. We actually have bulk mats inside the coupler. Makes a nice sheet too, the way it is. And below that are pads. Now the coupler actually has some straps underneath. They're adjustable and you can clip it into place. Now these specific pads, these are the large pads. They're 77 by 25. So this is a 50-inch wide coupler. They do sell them a 40 and a 60 for 20 and 30-inch pads and 25 for this. One thing though, to make sure that when you're buying your pads and also when you're buying your tent, a lot of manufacturers now are actually tapering the tents. So they'll start out with like 55 inches at one end and 42 at the other. So we wouldn't be able to use these pads because it's 50 inches across all the way. So that's one thing to keep in mind when buying your tent and your pads, to make sure that one's going to work with the other. But okay, so the coupler is also 650 filled down, and so let's start up here with the quilt. This is a 20 denier ripstop polyester with a 650 fill hydrophobic down in it. It's got at one end, it's got a foot box to keep your feet all nice and toasty warm. Yeah, and around the edges, it also has like this lip that kind of seals in around you to help keep the air from getting out. As with all down, occasionally you got to fluff it up and move the down around to make sure you got it all settled in. Now also, one thing that I like about this, there's these snaps here on the side, and there's little loops on this coupler. Let's get a little zoom in on here. Okay, so we have some loops here, and we have some straps here, and we could just strap it in and actually strap it pretty much almost all the way to the top. We typically just strap it down at the bottom, maybe halfway up. That way we don't get caught in there if we want to get up in the middle of the night. So, and then we got our little slots at the top to let our air valves out so we can adjust them if needed. And it keeps everything nice and together and neat. Makes for a toasty night. Alright. Alright, if you stick around to the end here, I'm going to have up a few the specifications for some of these, including the weights and dimensions and all that. Basically, this one is a little bit shorter than a queen size bed, that being 80 by 60. This one is 77 by 50. So that's for the double. And also we've slept in this. We just actually went camping on the beach just for fun, and it was quite warm. One nice thing about having a quilt over a sleeping bag is you just push it to the side. You know, you're not stuffed inside a sleeping bag. If you get too hot, you can just push it to the side. It wasn't too bad. It cooled off a little bit at night, just pull back over and we were good. And yeah, and we've also been out about 40 degrees, which is the lower limit of this quilt. And for the most part, we were warm. Jeanne was a little bit chilly, but she's usually, a cold sleeper, so that's expected. So, all right, I'm gonna pack this up, and this time, oh wait, I almost forgot. The two bags it came with, use these basically for storage. They have ventilation in them, so it allows it to breathe, and it also doesn't crush it too much, because you don't want to crush it down too much. It takes longer for it to fluff back up when you take it out. And here's the one for the quilt. It's actually quite large, and this one you can actually fold in half. It's got an extra string, so you can do it halfway and do it compressed that way. What I'm going to do now, though, is I'm actually going to compress it up into a compression sack so you can see how small it actually will compress for when you're packing it up and backpacking. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Now for rolling up the pads, a couple tricks. First of all, open up your valve. You're going to actually roll it twice. One is to get most of the air out, and the second time you're actually going to do a tight roll to fit it back into the stuff sack. It's got a little slack to it, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, a good tight roll makes it easier to go in. At this point, we want to close the valve so it doesn't, the air doesn't go back into it. And when you get most of the way to the top, just open up the valve again to let the last of the air out. Our system. The nice thing about the coupler too is when we go to smaller pads like some of the ultralight pads, the backpacking pads, this will still fit them as long as we get the same size pad. So we can go ahead and get like an X-Therm or something like that, and that'll fit it and it'll be good to go. All right, well, see you next time.